This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 98, The Only Reason for Marketing. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction if you're new, or build a better real estate agent business if you're a veteran agent, I've created a free jumpstart course for you that gives you that strategic vision, and it's sitting there waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. Please take advantage of it. I work from it every week in my own business, and it's helped me immensely. It's no magic pill. It takes time to do things strategically, but it's sitting there waiting for you. freeagentgift.com. My gift to you for being a listener of this podcast. All right. In this episode, I want to cover a subject, and I know everybody loves marketing, but I want to go right after the only reason for it. See, I think there's enormous confusion about the purpose of marketing and what it is and why, do I have to worry about it? Well, the truth is, if you're in business in any form or fashion, you're in the marketing business. In other words, if you want people to get to do business with you, you have to let them know what you have, and that's the essence of marketing in its simplest form. But along the way, I've learned something really important, and here's the first point. The minute I started to mind map out my marketing plan, and I used a simple triangle, market, where are they, message, to whom am I speaking, and what's my message to them, and media. What media upon which do I deliver that message? Now, I learned that from Dan Kennedy's book, The Ultimate Marketing Guide. He had that nice little triangle in there. So to give full credit, that's where I saw it. And I loved it. I loved its simplicity. So I dedicated myself to learning a little bit about mind mapping. And I love xmind.net. They have a free software, and I started with that. But I noticed that even when I put that in, I started to ask myself, why am I doing this? So all of a sudden, I just moved in a financial goal. Now, it sounds silly at first. Well, what's that have to do with marketing? Well, everything. That's the point of it, right? That the first and most important marketing guideline, something to set your North Star by, is your G.C.I. goal, or your gross commission income goal. Number one. I mean, financially, you have to make this viable. I get it. Maybe some of you do it hobbyistically or whatever that might be. You just like to help a few friends. But let's talk business here for a second. When you become an independent contractor and you don't want to be a failure at it, even if you're going to do a few deals a year with friends and family, you want to be professional about all that. So you do that by saying, okay, well, let's put a gross commission income goal, even if it's a hobby. How much will I make at the top line? Forget about all the management of that money and the splits and all that. Forget that for a second. That's not where you start. You start at the top line in any business. Gross commission income is the terminology we use in the real estate business. That goes right there. So put the number down. I mean, even if you start off doing, which I recommend, by the way, a yellow pad of paper and write it down. And if you are new to this business and you don't know what reasonable is, or you've been around it a long time and you just assume that by now you should be doing X, Y, Z, we're not entitled to anything. Whether you're new, you don't just make it up. If you've been a veteran for a long time, you just don't presume that you're owed some high G.C.I. by now. It's not the way it works. It has to be something that you put down. Sure, it can be reasonable to start. And then, of course, you can have a stretch number. I have no problem with that. I love the concept of 10Xing things because it opens up resourcefulness. But the point is, put something down that makes some sense, that you can wrap your head around. And one of the things that I did, if it will help you, is I went into my multiple listing service and I looked at what top producers were doing. And again, for all you broker owners, team leaders, you have to vet all that and make sense of how people compile their G.C.I. and what they put transactions under. But I still think it's a good litmus test to say, what's possible? And you can see that by looking at the top producers first and just looking at what their many millions of dollars in sales have been. And then you can back into a guesstimate on what the gross commission income would be, right? You can come up with a range. And then you just say, okay, well, that's interesting at the top production level. That's what's possible, certainly. Yes, is it possible to go beyond them? Yes, but I don't know why people just have to, well, I'm going to beat that. Well, why don't you just start by looking at what the middle of the road looks like if you're brand new? What does it look like to wake up and be a middle of the road player? How many transactions? What would that mean in gross commission income that I bring into the brokerage where I hang my license? What does that look like? And just take that small building block. I'm not saying limit yourself to that. You know me if you listen to this. I love to stretch. I love to push. But why do we keep rushing? Take a building block. Even you team leaders out there, when you're bringing people on, well, if they don't do X like me, then they're out of here. What? I just don't get that mentality. The mentality is, look, there's a building block of gross commission income that an average agent can do on an average day, average year, and middle of the road kind of balances those two numbers, okay? So you can see what's there. Take that and put that out there on a piece of paper, that goal. And then, if you want to get a little bit more sophisticated, we're giving you a tool, xmind.net, put it in there. Write it down. Memorialize it. Thank you, Brian Tracy, for your simple book, Goals, and the many times you talk about goals and writing these things down. The brain and humankind is teleological, goal-seeking. So the more clear that goal is, the more resourceful we are. But you have to learn marketing in order to attain that goal. You can't do this on muscle. You don't just make it up and say, I'm going to do this, hit the bricks with your helmet and your lunch pail and expect that you're going to have any semblance of order. Yes, you're going to work your tail off and you're going to keep going. And I've done all this stuff before. But if I had only taken a beat to say, okay, why don't we, here's point number 2 or B, whatever I called it here in my notes. The only reason for marketing is to help you attain that financial goal. Let that sink in. So all of you that say, well, what about this lead gen platform? What about that one? I just got that question from one of my own mastermind members the other day. What do you think about this lead gen platform versus that one? And I said, look, let's talk about it. Because I'm not going to send back some cryptic advice that says, oh, I think that's a good site. The question is, why is that part of your marketing plan? How does that help not just you get your gross commission income goal with your team, but individually, how would that help them? What are we getting them? What kind of leads are we getting them? What are we marketing about them? How do people even know it's them? What will they say when they begin to telemarket and introduce themselves to a lead that's been acquired by a website? What did the website to get the lead to react to? In other words, what was the website's message? Do you even know what their Google AdWords say? Gets very confusing, doesn't it? Like, listen to what I just said. Go back and listen to it. Oh my gosh, it sounds like lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, right? Because it is. It's chaos. But if I just let's take a sample, right? Let's just say that you'd love to do a gross commission income of a block of 100,000, 50,000, somewhere in that range. Let's just take that and say, is it reasonable? Yes. In most marketplaces, that's reasonable. And again, if you're a top tier producer, it's just how you're going to take those blocks of 50 and expand what you do through marketing, leverage marketing, and then people to get there. So the only reason for marketing is to help you attain that simple goal. So how do you do that? So as I sit here and I think about the image of this mind map that I have put together, I can see very clearly now, we just went through this in the mastermind this week, very clearly I can see in my case, because I've been around a long time and have leverage with people and systems, I put down $500,000 gross and I stretched it to $1 million, and I even put beyond 5x to 10x that. So I had 5 million to 10 million. It makes me think out there further. What resources would I need? How would I duplicate these little building blocks to get out there? So that's for your top producers. But again, I got to do my first 100 with my setup currently before I can do 5. I have to do 50 before I do 100. So when I look at that, I say, what does it look like if I now go to marketing and say, all right, how do we achieve that goal? Let's just back into some simple math, and that's the third point here. I start off by saying I must attract sellers at or above the mean sale price in your target market, or bare minimum, the median. Now, this is what I say. Okay, I'm just trying to be transparent about what I now know and what I now say. Because remember what I've been asking you to do in the last several episodes here is just imagine, why not you, to become a middle-of-the-road producer. And a lot of you top producers, take a breath and hear what I'm saying to you. You might be doing a gajillion transactions, but at what sale price? And how's your seller business? Because that's ultimately how the business works. He or she who controls listings has much more leverage to grow their business in a better way. Period. You can't argue that away. That's a fact of life. No knock on buyer agency, but you're waiting for somebody else to go get those listings and you go to work for them. Period. You can spin it any way you want because I did too. But listings rule the day. So if I'm going to achieve my clear financial goal, I need to think about how can I use marketing to attract sellers at or above the mean so that in attaining that goal, the better the average sale price is and the better I can hold the commission to the rate that I want, the easier it is for me to meet financial goals. Making sense here? Pretty simple math. So let's go into some math. In my marketplace on Cape Cod, I do Boston too, which is dramatically different math, but I'm going to use Cape Cod because I can see the numbers very clearly and there's a pretty big spread. If I am to pursue, by the way, this is a big marketing mistake I made. Used to use these terms like distress sales and foreclosures and free lists of all that, attracting not only buyers, but buyers who had watched the latest infomercial at 2 a.m. on how to steal a house from somebody well below market value. What a waste of marketing dollars that was when I look back at it, because we were so transaction oriented that everything that we did in marketing was to attract more and more and more and more at the sacrifice of more easily achieving a financial goal. Don't get me wrong, underlying here is, I've said this 1,000 times, I'm a person for others. You put somebody in front of me, I don't care what their price range is, I'm going to take care of them. But this is intentional marketing. This is when you become intentional as a business person and you use marketing to go and get the business that helps you fulfill your financial model. Of course, you're serving people along the way, and how you do that matters, but it's intentional. So now I say, okay, on Cape Cod, the median sale, or right down the middle of the bell curve, meaning there's a whole bunch of them that happen right around $412,000. But because of all this oceanfront and luxury and this beautiful, place, man-made peninsula that we live on, my gosh, there's multi-million dollar sales all the time. And they skew the average up by quite a bit to $595,000. So I have these two benchmark sellers that they're sort of the two types of middle of the road, I guess. Certainly we're skewed a little bit beyond the middle on the mean, but I have 412 and I have 595. Even in those cases, the average commission rate to reach my G.C.I. is dramatically different, from 11 and change to 16,000 and change, based on a commission rate that was an actual rate for me. I'm not fixing commissions here, and I'm not even stating, you do your own math. But the point was, I took actual rate that I was able to achieve in my own book, plugged it in, and then just looked at the median and the mean. And I had this commission rate that I was after. It was a target rate that every time if I hit that commission, that gross commission on a median sale at that actual rate, or if I was able to achieve that same rate at the mean, I had these numbers. I divide them into my 500, and I had 31 transactions if I were to hit the mean and 44 if I were to hit the median. Well, that's a lot more work at 44. So now all of a sudden, you're looking at this marketing, you're saying, well, let's now go back and say, where are these sellers in the geography? Okay, inside the geography, who have this context where I could begin to get new business. And if I can stay in that geography where I want to do business and I can stay at that number, they're likely to repeat with me down the road at that number and refer me other people that they know that most likely have something like what they have. Their neighbors, for example, their friends. So when you look at it that way, it becomes just so obvious. You don't have to go out spending this wild money on the internet, hoping that somebody is whimsically inquiring about their home evaluation when you know exactly where some people are who have context, from expireds to probates to FSBOs to divorce to on and on and on and on it goes, where it's obvious that somebody owns a mean or above house. And now I have to market to them. You see how you start to just define, and I'll get into the next episode, an ideal client. You just simply define them by geography, where are they, Orientation, are they selling? And price, is it at the mean or above and at least median or above? And that helps me more easily fulfill my financial goal, because when I simply took that commission based on the mean and the median, divided into the 500, the 100, the 50, you have this real number in front of you that and it's much more reasonable than you think. I mean, even for top producers listening, you know that 31 to 44 sides with leverage and people is not that hard to do. In fact, most of you are doing it. It's just how you go about all your marketing that's drowning you. And it takes you so much more waste, money, time, effort. You want to talk about time management? Okay, number one, rookies in the business usually don't know what to do, so that's easy enough to get them started. But it's the veterans who have so much going on that has nothing to do with attainment of their financial goal. It's just that they simply keep marketing, and they don't even see it strategically at all. I mean, I've seen people buy 4 or 5 websites that do the exact same thing. Head scratcher. Sure, maybe the user interface is a little bit different. And yes, maybe the Google AdWords is a little slightly different, but a head scratcher. What does that even have to do with getting listings? See, we all love the internet because we perceive it to be easy. We don't have to interact with people as much. We just acquire the lead, and now they came in. We have the right to call them. We call them, we make an offer, and off we go. We think it's easier when the truth is it's not, and it causes a lot of waste. Don't get me wrong. I say this every time I go there about the internet. I'm a firm believer that there is leverage in the internet, especially if you can learn how to acquire the right person who is truly having a reason to sell, and they truly are motivated. If you can come up with a campaign online to attract that person, they're just as good for your financial model as something where there's exactitude, meaning, for example, an expired, okay? Now, the last point I want to make here is what you can also do that's pretty simple, that will keep you in line with this financial goal, is a simple variance report. What's that mean? Well, I had Serena, our numbers gal extraordinaire, just put together a very simple variance report that said, look, if I get a commission, I want my closing coordinator to put it in here, and I want you to build formulas that show me, was I at or above a median price derived commission? Was I at or above or below, in both these cases, a mean commission? So in other words, am I falling further into the hole, meaning I have to do more transactions because I was less than the mean commission of $16,000 and change? Same with median. And that just keeps my marketing brain going, saying, well, we better make adjustments. We keep attracting these people down here. What are we saying? Why are we calling all of those people? Look, I'll say this. I love to serve, but I have people that work with me on my team that need to make money. The company needs cash flow. I have to be a realist in all this, and I have to pay attention to this. So a variance report measures against the actual targets. So why would we all keep waking up at the end of a year and saying, oh, well, I should have done better? No, you shouldn't have. You had no right to do better without this kind of an approach. And that's what I learned. That's why I'm sharing it with you. So let me go back and reiterate this, okay? The only reason for marketing is so that you can attain your financial goals, okay? You use marketing to attain specific financial goals. So the first point was, the first and most important marketing guideline is to include your gross commission goal in your marketing plan. I'm recommending mind mapping because it's memorialized and stuck there digitally, and you have to stare at it. The next thing is, the only reason for that putting that in there is so that you don't start to make marketing decisions that aren't aligned with that. If you don't see the financial goal, you just start making these decisions. Oh, I heard that Sally uses this way and Billy uses that, and now we're all off in these, poppy fields making it up, and there's no attachment. The third point was to attract sellers, if you can, at or above the mean sale price in your target market area within which you're marketing, or at least above the median. That will make it easier when it comes to the number of transactions you need to close to attain that goal. And then measure them against the goal. Don't wake up 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, wondering where you're at. It's simple. Even if you're just doing 3 deals a year, 4 deals a year, like the average realtor across the country, measure it against your goal. right? You would have already written this, saying, well, Danny, I only want to do this part-time. I'd love to make myself $30,000, $40,000, and here's the median and the mean number, and I'm going to guesstimate the commission rate that I can achieve. It's not rocket science, folks. Go into MLS and see how many companies are offering a certain rate. They're not fixed. That's negotiable. You get it, but you can back into a model. Let's not be insane. Back into the model. Now you know what you're after. And every time you close one, was I at, above, or below my target? Okay? Let me summarize this in just a key, simple statement here. It's a critical first step in marketing to set a clear financial gross commission income goal and then start your marketing efforts to attract sellers that own a median priced home in your target market area, all the while checking your actual closings against your target and adjusting your plan to stay on track, okay? The next episode, I'm going to talk about ideal client. Go a little bit deeper on this, okay? Hey, remember, you can take immediate action to improve your business or get started in the right direction, whatever it might be, with our free, simple business plan. This is the generalization of how to get strategic. It's waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. A couple simple PowerPoint videos over there that will explain my thoughts on each one and the model that you can download and print for yourself. Sorry, I'm still nursing this cough 2 weeks later. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. I'm telling you, I'm sharing what I'm doing in coaching that people pay a lot of money for. And they're happy that I put it out there because they listen to the replays of these too. We also broadcast our live sales training calls on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 o'clock EDT. So remember to turn on your page and channel notifications for the Realty Classroom, the Realty Classroom, so you won't miss the reminders. We'd also appreciate it if you would share our content with other entrepreneurial, spirited real estate agents just like you, so that please help them get the help that they need. Hey, thanks for listening. Remember, nobody's coming for you, so go get to work on your own business. See you in the next episode.